Well, looky here. If it isn't turn-in day for our op art, that's exciting. Especially for me, because then I get to see what you've been creating. I know I've gotten to see some of that in class here and there, but I get to like see the finished product, and that's always so exciting. Quick reminder, if you also want to share your art, not just with me, but with like all of our VA, and also have the opportunity of having it potentially put in the end of the year art show, Hall of Fame. Don't forget about the Hall of Fame. So let me pop on into the Hall of Fame. Of course, we can find it linked in today's slide. We can find it linked in the Art Hub as well under today. So lots of places to find it. I'll throw it in the chat box too during class. But I just wanted to remind you of the Hall of Fame. So here it is. If you need to, there is a video on the first slide for like how to insert your images. But basically it's going to be the same as the art journal, right? Take a photo. If you're taking it on a phone, usually I just like email it to myself, to my school email, of course. And then I go into my school email, I open it up, and I either copy it and then paste it in, or I'll screenshot it and then paste it in. Otherwise, the easiest way, as we probably know, is to go to, up next to File, Edit View, then it's Insert, Image, and then there's a whole bunch of different ways. But I think that one of the easiest is going to be Camera, and just use your Chromebook camera. It'll pop open right away, you take the picture, and then you put it on in. As a quick reminder, whenever you're taking your pictures, whether it's for the Hall of Fame or for your art journal, just try to get the best quality photo that you can. We want to, make sure that when we're looking at those images, hopefully that they are, well, here, I guess I'll open this up. That they are not too dark, they're not too like in a sun puddle where it's too bright and it kind of washes everything out, that it's not at a weird angle, that it's, not too zoomed in that we can't see or too blurry that we can't see. We kind of want to make sure we've got good lighting, it's zoomed in appropriately, not at an angle, and that the entire image is in view. So just as a reminder, this is also in your art journal or something similar anyway. So, oh, and then don't forget to, in the Hall of Fame, if you're choosing to do this, claim your frame by putting in your name. So your first name, last initial works great. So go ahead and put that in there if you want it to be considered. And just as a reminder too, for the end of the year art show, if this is a goal of yours, first off, the more times you turn stuff into the Hall of Fame, the more likely you are to be in that end of the year art show. But also the number one criteria is literally photo quality, like making sure that it's not too dark, it's not too blurry or pixelated or at a weird angle, or that like your hands are holding it and I can see your fingers on the side of the image, like things like that, right? Like that would make it automatically disqualified. So I've had definitely like pieces of art where I was like, oh, that looks so amazing, I love this piece of artwork so much, but I couldn't use the photo for the end of the year art show just because of the photo quality being too poor. So just want to always be fully transparent and all of that with you guys. Anyway, Hall of Fame, optional, don't have to do it, but you absolutely may. What isn't optional though, this guy. So go ahead, if you have it bookmarked, open up your art journal through your bookmark. If not, go into your Google Drive, type in art journal, it should pop up. Open this up. Go to entry 2, which is our op art slide. And I am looking specifically for 3 images, or more if you want extra credit. So the 3 images I am looking for will be your impossible triangle, boom, there it is. Your impossible oval, boom, there that is. And then your final, that spider web. If you decided to do other stuff as well, you can add that in. Things like the 3D shapes, that doesn't count towards extra credit, but if you did like an extra, maybe you did another spider web but in black and white, or you did another one that was more of that wavy one, or maybe you just tried out an entirely different optical illusion. Add those in here. Maybe you also did one of those sheets that we sent you. You know, that can get you a couple points of extra credit too. So anything that you did to extend your learning, that you went above and beyond, add those photos in here too, because they can count for extra credit. And in total, we can get up to 5 extra credit points, which I believe is like 112%. So I think it's a lot. Anyway, that middle section there with the photos, that's worth 20 points. Of course, you could get up to 25 out of 20 in that section, but add those photos in. Here's what I want you to not forget. You know, we're on our second project now, and I've been noticing some of us are forgetting to fill out this top and the bottom. That's half your grade. If you don't fill out the time spent, if you don't answer the questions at the bottom, the best grade you could get is a 20 out of 40, or I guess technically a 25 out of 40 with the extra credit. But that's not passing, so that's not great. Remember, we want to show that we've spent time to grow our skill, just like practicing the piano, practicing free throws, practicing anything that we want to get better at, showing we have that time spent. And then, of course, don't forget, you know, if you've been documenting all that time, just don't forget to add it up, because you do lose a point for not adding it. You can use a calculator. This is not math class. Feel free to do that. But we're aiming for that total of 10 hours, or the equivalent would be, you know, 600 minutes. So if I were to add up all those minutes, it might come up to 600. That's the same thing as 10 hours. And yeah, you could put it either way. I understand both. So add up your time spent, of course. And then finally, there are 3 questions down at the bottom. You can see the first question is worth 3 points. Which colors did you use to create your op art? Primary, secondary, tertiary. And maybe you used some kind of a combination too. Feel free to put that in. Like maybe you did, I don't know, red, yellow, blue, but then you also use green. So you could say I used primary colors plus the secondary color green. You know, like don't feel like you were boxed into like one color scheme, because you weren't. But I just want to know that we're just keeping that fresh in our mind. What are the primary colors? What are the secondary colors? Do you know how to like identify them in your artwork? So tell me about that. You could even do like primary colors and then list which primary colors, secondary colors, list which secondary colors, tertiary colors, list what tertiary colors. And remember, tertiary color, if you're kind of like, wait, that one was a little bit, it's a new vocab. Was a tertiary color is just when you take a primary color and you mix it with a secondary color. So for example, if I took red and I mixed my red with orange, which is a secondary color, I would get a red-orange, right? So that would be our tertiary color. It's like that third generation. Anyway, answer that question, worth 3 points. If you need to extend the space, feel free to make it bigger. That's fine. Next question, worth 3 points. What type of op art, pictorial, optical trickery, impossible shapes, interests you the most and why? So we've got our impossible shapes, those first 2 here. We've got the optical trickery going on, right? Or it looks like it's coming out at us in space, or some of them that we maybe have done or looked at least, you know, where it looks like if things are moving, or maybe it looks like, oh my goodness, there's a giant hole in the paper, but obviously there's not. You know, things like that. Those are the optical trickery. Or pictorial, those ones that we saw like way back in the beginning of this project, where it's like, oh yeah, that's a guy's face. Oh wait, no, that's actually a guy painting on a canvas and there's 2 huts. Okay, so like which one of those, or which type do you think is the coolest and why, and tell me about that. Once again, if you need to extend the space, go ahead and do that. And then finally, for the last 4 points, what was your favorite part of this project, or what do you think could be improved? How did you grow as a student and artist? So just kind of that reflection piece. Like, you know, we've learned a lot over the last 10 days. Let's talk about that. What did you enjoy? What could be better? What did you get out of this? Hopefully something. Anyway, once this is all filled out, you're probably going to want to turn it into Buzz so that I can give you a grade. Remember, if it's not in Buzz, I can't give you a grade. Even if you have it done in your art journal, that's great, but it would be like having your homework done but in your locker. I can't see it. So we have to now put it into Buzz. So let's go on into Buzz. Here it is. Here I just clicked on the tile. You could also just go to your to-do list. It's in there. But if I go into the tile, I can go to Turn in Op Art and click on that. And there's not much to do now. We're almost there. All I have to do, right down here where it says Google File with the plus button, I'm going to click that. I can't click it because I'm not a student. I'm a teacher. So you notice, like clicking on it, it's not doing anything because, once again, I'm not the student. So, but when you do, it'll pop open your Google Drive. If you just had your art journal open, it should be kind of at the top. But if not, just search for art journal, and then upload. It'll put it in there, and then just hit submit my work. That's it. That gets it in there. We're going to get you some points. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see them. Yay. All right. Finally then, in preparation for our next project, we're going to be making these really cool jeweled bugs. And as a reminder, in your art box, if you want to start kind of digging through, we are going to be needing that metal foil, which is in a manila envelope, and it says do not bend on it. So we'll need that. We're not going to use the good stuff right away, which is why you need to start searching for tin foil or aluminum foil. It's going to be what we're practicing on. It's going to be way thinner. It's going to rip more easily, but you know what? If you get some practice on that, by the time you get to the good stuff, you're going to be a pro. So looking for that aluminum foil or tin foil is going to be important as well. What else do we need out of our art supply boxes? Start looking for, there's like a wooden tool or some kind of like a tool that will help us for imprinting into the foil. Our Sharpies, our permanent markers that are in there, paper, pencil, okay, so that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to be using. And then you can also look around your house too. I talked about that metal tool. If you have other things around your house that you're like, oh, this could kind of work for, on a foil, kind of like denting it in and stuff, feel free to, kitchens often have a lot of different utensils and things. Feel free to start pulling things out and we can try them out. I'm not going to say everything you find is going to work, but you can try things out and see if it does work with it. More on that later. Right now you're kind of like, I don't even know what this project is, but just as a heads up, there might be things you can kind of pull out of your house that'll work really well for this project. So keep that in mind. Anyway, that's it for today. I can't wait to see these. Until next time.